5:04 to go in the third quarter. Green had it batted down. Intercepted by the Tigers at the 2-yard line. Whit Weeks. He tipped it and also made the catch. Wow, a cataclysmic turn for Arkansas.
Whit Weeks is blitzing off the edge, and it's a nice job to knock it up in the air, and then Taylon Green, who's trying to knock it down, actually saves it for Whit Weeks. Hits it back up in the air, and Weeks makes the interception. That's an incredible play by the linebacker.
And we say good morning to you once again. We are taping on a Wednesday afternoon. A little bit of Tigers Roar for you. You see the incredible play Whit Weeks made against Arkansas in the second half. Buddy Songy in the house here. Once again in our temporary studios, we are working feverishly to get everything set up for you. So we give you another weekly edition of Tigers Roar. And as always, you Tigers fans should be relatively happy, but it is a big one. On the road at Texas A&M, the home team has won 7 consecutive times. LSU has not taken down the Aggies since 2016 at College Station. Of course, many of you remember the 7 overtime loss in 18 when the officials just, let's just say it the way it is, cheated LSU, but that's what happened in the game of college football. Once again, as always, couldn't do it without my partner in crime, my co-host. He's on the other side of the wall, and we say belated Wednesday morning taping this week because of craziness with our schedule. Next week's open date, so no Tigers Roar next week. Then when we come back to you next time, it will be the Alabama weekend. JP, good to talk with you as always. Big one against A&M. Tigers won convincingly 34-10. Did not move up in the polls. And JP, I didn't have too many problems with it because when you start looking at all these teams, if LSU takes care of business, they will get everything that they need. And, oh, by the way, 2 weeks from yesterday, 2 important things on the calendar: the presidential election, as most of you know, and JP, the first CFP poll coming out at, I think, 6 o'clock. So good effort, excellent ball game. We all thought it was going to be a close one. And one thing about it, JP, not easy to figure out this LSU football team this year.
Yeah, well, good Wednesday to you, Bud, man. Glad you could be here with us. Everybody viewing here on Tigers Roar Pelican Sports TV. LSU does get the win on the road. That's the most important thing. Always tough to win an SEC game on the road. Wasn't the most clean game for Garrett Nussmeier, 23 of 34. Didn't throw a touchdown. LSU did have to settle for 4 field goals, but Damian Ramos did his job. He got the game ball after Saturday's matchup. He was also honored with an SEC honor this week, along with Emory Jones on that offensive line. So LSU did what they needed to do on defense. Whit Weeks, of course, 10 tackles. You saw the intro, that fantastic interception down by the goal line. Kind of reminded a lot of LSU fans of that Tyrann Mathieu play where he batted it up, intercepted the ball himself. So got to be happy with the win, Bud, man. LSU took care of business in the second half, especially with that defense. Got to be pleased with the play of the secondary led by Zy Alexander. The hit by Sage Ryan that was overturned correctly, not to be targeting. That was a great effort by him. Number 3, back at safety. He's kind of received a lot of criticism for his play thus far in the LSU uniform, but starting to get more comfortable at that safety spot. You got to give the credit to Coach Blake Baker, though. That defense seems to be finally settling down with the absence of Harold Perkins. Whit Weeks steps in seamlessly, and it's got to a more traditional defense, but Blake Baker, fantastic job dialing up exotic blitzes, getting a lot of pressure on that quarterback. And LSU 6 in a row, and that USC loss, it just ages like spoiled milk. It looks worse every week, but LSU turning things around. A big game at Kyle Field. Coach Brian Kelly, you hear from him later on in this show. He'll talk about the environment. Of course, Garrett Nussmeier, been at LSU a long time. He's been to Kyle Field before, too, so a special environment. It's going to be a lot of raucous fans cheering for the Aggies. So another tough environment. Give credit to LSU. It was a patented trap game this past weekend. A very emotional win against Ole Miss at home. The crowd storms the field and then go on the road. Doesn't get any easier, though, of course, as LSU's on the road once again, traveling to Texas A&M, take on those Aggies.
You know, it's a very similar matchup. Both teams lost their opening games. A&M lost to Notre Dame at College Station. LSU, of course, losing in Vegas to USC, as JP alluded to. Doesn't make LSU's resume any better. Listen, let's talk about some of the things that have gone on. The second consecutive week that an LSU player was charged with targeting, and they got it overruled. And I think both of these probably were good calls. Whitweek's the previous week against Ole Miss when he had 18 tackles, and then, as you alluded to, JP, Sage Ryan. But let's give those DBs and that defense a lot of credit. This is why this man right here, yeah, yours truly, was going absolutely ballistic and crazy and telling everybody in town that Brian Kelly has an IQ over 100 and Brian Kelly was going to get rid of Matt House. In fact, we sold T-shirts that said clean house, and that's what they did. Look at Whit Weeks. He could have been learning on the job last year. Didn't get a chance to hardly play. Now we start talking about that secondary, JP, appreciably better. To me, they've gotten a lot more physical. And I don't know what you call it, but Blake Baker had a defensive formation on a blitz package. JP, have you ever seen that before? 4 guys lining up behind each other. The first guy was a couple yards off the line of scrimmage. Guys 2 and 3 both blitz from opposite sides. And then the fourth guy actually stayed back in coverage. I had never seen that before. And, you know, this is an interesting tidbit this week, folks. Mike Elko was the defensive coordinator for BK at Notre Dame. This is a really good coach. But when you start talking about big wins for LSU and big wins for Texas A&M, yeah, they have won games, but they haven't taken down a great team yet. Ole Miss, I'm not going to say that they're great. They potentially are really good. But as we know, Lane Kiffin still eats that zero candy bar for not ever having a championship. Lo and behold, though, atmosphere, JP, I got to tell you, this is one of the tougher ones. And I'm just hoping that the curse of 2018, when they went into the 7 overtime loss, they must have had 3 or 4 replays that did not give LSU the benefit of the doubt. And, oh, by the way, to tell you how quickly the world works, we were actually doing post-game at the time at Old School Barbecue, that same location 6 years ago. So you don't want the officials to get involved, although they've been relatively good. But back to that question, did you ever see that 4-man package where they all line up behind each other and go different ways? Look, I don't think you can get away with a steady diet of that, right. But give Blake Baker credit. You know, there's always an award for the best assistant coach in the country at the end of the year. Right now, JP, he's got to be certainly in the top 3 or 4 because he has taken chicken poop and turned it into chicken salads. Now, it may not be as good as over at Calvin's Chicken Salad, but he's really got these guys playing with a lot of aggression, a lot of, I guess you could say, just everybody's motor going 100 miles an hour. Yep. And Whit Weeks, once again, 28 tackles in the last 2 SEC games. But you know the deal. A&M is going to run the football, and they're going to try to stop the run. So, JP, probably a lot more emphasis on the line of scrimmage and the battles in the trenches this week.
Yeah, to answer your question, Bud, man, no, I've never seen that type of blitz package before. I did love it. I mean, I thought it was exotic. I thought it was, you know, a fresh new look, and I appreciate that Blake Baker has held off showing that look until an Arkansas game where he felt that he needed to use it. Yeah, you mentioned the atmosphere at Kyle Field in Texas A&M. They're right on top of you right there. They keep on adding on to that stadium, just like here in Baton Rouge. They keep on adding more seats. It's going to be over 100,000. Coach Brian Kelly will talk about it. It's an exceptional venue. Very tough place to play, but LSU, they know what's in front of them. They know everything that they trying to achieve. It has to go through Texas A&M. The top 2 teams, there's no more East and West in the SEC this year, Both teams undefeated in the SEC, 4-0. The chips are down, bud, man. It's time. If you want to accomplish your goals in year 3 under Brian Kelly, it's time to show up and show out. And I think the Tigers are playing really well. You talk about that defense. 38 yards rushing for Arkansas last week, a top of 3 sacks at the quarterback. We went into the game talking about how LSU wanted to make Arkansas one-dimensional. They were able to do that, absolutely shutting down that run game. And that just speaks to Blake Baker. And what he's able to do is eliminate all the I don't know what to do's. They communicate exceptionally well in this defense, and that's something that he was preaching from day one. And it's doing your 1 of 11, doing your job, and your teammates being able to count on you to do your job and execute it at a high quality. And you do all those things. It's about the process. Coach Brian Kelly always talks about it. Your coach Nick Saban talked about it on College Game Day, how they want to be transformational coaches and not transactional coaches. It's not about the wins and losses. You'll hear Coach Brian Kelly talk about, winning for him is executing at a high level consistently, and I think LSU is finally starting to do that.
Well, folks, I know most of you are aware of this, but LSU opening with the short passing game. We've been talking about it. Nuss has got to stay away from turning the ball over and getting rid of it quickly. JP, this is what I've been talking about all the fall, leading into the spring and then into the fall camp and into the get rid of it quickly. The quicker he gets rid of it, the better it's going to be. And I will say this now, A&M's corners are going to play press, and they're going to be all over the receivers. C.J. Daniels makes a big difference. In case you missed it, he took a cheap shot from an Arkansas player late in the game, went into the tent. I'm sure it's concussion protocol. We'll find out about his availability. I don't think people are going to ask about Chris Hilton anymore. It just seems like every week it's probable, it's doubtful, it's questionable, then it's out. So, but Daniels makes a big difference, JP, because he's the best blocking wide receiver, and it makes a difference because he's a bigger guy. Oh, by the way, praise the Lord. Yes, Trey'Dez Green got an opportunity. The guy had 45 snaps. Look, I look at these guys. We look at them in the camp. Pimpton's another guy that you haven't seen yet. But overall, one of the things we know, JP, they open it up early, got the lead 16-7. Ramian Damos has just been money, 4 field goals. But you don't want to always settle for field goals. So play calling inside the red zone, and let's just say it the way it is. BK did it against USC. It didn't work. BK did it against Arkansas. It did work. What I'm talking about is coming back and establishing that run game right up the middle. If they come back in the second half this weekend and start running the ball right up the middle, it better be Caden Durham, who, by the way, had 100-plus yards and 3 touchdowns. But if not, you're going to put the offense behind the chains and now put pressure on Nussmeier. He was very proud that they salted the game away with an 8-minute drive. I don't think you're going to have that kind of success running the football against A&M that you had against Arkansas. So I want to see them continue to throw the ball, continue to be mixed and balanced, and obviously get the ball into the hands of your guys that can be difference makers. And, boy, you can't say enough about the receiving core, the running back core. Offensive line did relatively well. So this is what you come to LSU for, another SEC game. And you know, JP, it's not easy winning back-to-back games on the road in the SEC.
Yeah, and A&M, they have one of the best edge rushers in the country, and you'll hear from Garrett Nussmeier later on in the show. He's asked about the edge for Texas A&M, and they're very confident in their offensive line. Of course, Nussmeier was sacked 0 times again against Arkansas, who has a pretty good front themselves. Landon Jackson, LSU Tiger fans are familiar with. He did have his reps against Will Campbell where he did put pressure on Nussmeier, but for the most part, Will Campbell absolutely held his own. He kept his quarterback upright. Nussmeier also does a very good job of getting that ball out on time. You'll hear Coach Brian Kelly talk about the job he's done this season. So, yeah, we do have highlights in this show for you guys, and we do have Brian Kelly coming on later on in an interview yesterday with Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback for LSU. Redshirt junior, so, of course, he does have another year if he wants to come back. But that's all decisions that will be made down the line. I remind you guys, go check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. All the Tigers Roars are archived for your viewing pleasure right there. So while at the page, click the notification, the like, and the subscription button if you haven't done so already. It certainly helps us out with the algorithm, and you get notified every time we post something new right there at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Also remind you guys, go to your app store, also on the Google Play for your Android. Go check out our app at Pelican Broadcasting. So go to the App Store and just search Pelican Broadcasting. It's free to download. All you have to do is log in with an email address. You're able to get the stream right there in your pocket anytime you want. So go check out Pelican Broadcasting wherever your apps are sold.
All right, folks, we're going to take our first quick time out and come back and go through some of those highlights. LSU, Arkansas. Oh, by the way, did you see Texas lay an egg? We're back. They've been trying to say that for 2 or 3 years. We adamantly were hell-bent on the fact that nobody in the SEC was going to go undefeated, and it is now a fact. Texas gets taken out back. Some shady officiating in that game. In case you missed it, Texas got fined $250,000 for throwing trash onto the field, had a stoppage there, but they actually called a play. And then actually let them get up to the line of scrimmage, called timeout, and then had a reversal. So one thing about the SEC officiating, folks, they never, ever admit when they're wrong, and they never, ever explain the craziness. So get ready. It could be crazy in College Station, and that game kicking off at about 6:44. Saturday night, 107,000 strong. There'll be a few Tiger fans, but, oh, by the way, A&M wearing all black uniforms, and, oh, by the way, LSU bringing their complete band to College Station. That's a great treat to have them in the stands Saturday night. Back with a quick timeout on Tigers Roar. Buddy Songy, Jonathan Poche on a Wednesday afternoon right here on Pelican Sports TV. Back with highlights right after this.
Looking for a certified Honda? Get your dream deal now at Team Honda Used Cars. Get 0.99% financing on some of our most popular models, including Accords and Pilots. Honda dreams come true at Louisiana's #1 certified Honda dealer, Team Honda.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
You could be driving a Honda. Now's the best time to get an award-winning Honda during the Honda Summer Event at Team Honda. Find top performance and unbeatable reliability with our outstanding selection of new Hondas. Save on your new Honda today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
And as always, we hope that you are doing well on this hump day here in the capital city of Baton Rouge. We do have player interviews. We'll hear from Nuss later on. We're going to go ahead and start off with LSU highlights from Arkansas. And JP roll those as we talk about a dominant 34-10. And here we go. Once again, the little swing pass out to the backfield. JP, I hope to see a steady diet of that. And you know me, I love me some Caden Durham out the backfield catching the football.
And LSU was able to get points on their first drive. You see the first couple of plays right here in the highlights. Unfortunately, LSU did get down to the goal line. They kind of backed themselves up with some penalties. Coach Brian Kelly addressed it. Also, Nussmeier, we'll talk about in his interview about how they addressed the issues they faced. They don't think it's going to be a recurring problem. Here's a nice throw to the outside, getting Kyron Lacey going early.
And look, if they're going to give LSU those throws on the outside, they're going to take them. But as you know, you want to be balanced, and here's another great touchdown run. This is a kid that had 2 dislocated toes, and he's running like that.
Yeah, really impressive as the young man, the true freshman to come in, playing with injuries at the running back spot. Of course, is so demanding on the body. But here's his first of 3 touchdowns on the game. Great effort to get to the outside, but also laying out for the pylon. Great shot right here from the pylon cam.
No doubt about it. Caden Durham is certainly going to make all SEC freshman team, gets the ball over the cone. Here we go once again, a little dink and dunk, and this is over to Aaron Anderson, who's been fantastic all year long, JP.
Yeah, that was on a 3rd and 6, keeping the chains moving. Do have to settle for a field goal, but here's the first attempt for Damian Ramos. True down the middle. LSU gets off to a 10-0 lead right before the second quarter.
Doesn't hurt you in this game, but you cannot continue to kick that many field goals. You got to score touchdowns. Brett Penn with a hit and a fumble. LSU had a +3 in the takeaway advantage in this game.
Yeah, great hustle right here by Greg Penn, coming up from behind, punching that ball out, got the ball entirely. Clear recovery for LSU. Major Burns dives on it. LSU's offense back on the field. Here's another handoff to Durham, and he gets a first down. This is getting the chains moving, getting out of LSU territory. And when you can eat up clock, run the football with that offensive line, impose your will, even if you do have to settle for field goals, Bud, man, you're taking time off the clock, and when Damian Ramos is making the field goals, it kind of keeps you above that worry of, oh, you're settling for 3 instead of getting 6.
All right, Arkansas, of course, as we know, finally goes down the field and gets a score. So at that point, it's 13-7, and still a very, very close ball game. LSU's going to add another field goal. JP, you don't mind the field goals, but in a game of this magnitude against A&M, you better dial up some better plays. I don't think – and, look, we don't mind this kind of play here, but once again, they don't get in the end zone.
Yep.
Got to settle for a field goal. That will hurt you against A&M if you constantly settle for field goals. But Damian Ramos has been really, really good. And so let's give BK credit. He finally realizes you got to get something, the field goal with Ramos. And here we go. That's the call targeting. You don't think it was a bad call with the overrule, huh?
No, perfect call. Led with the shoulder, got the receiver in the shoulder, and, of course, leads to the interception by Whit Weeks. Here we go in the 3rd quarter, 4:58 left in the game. LSU in a great spot, up 60-10, coming off with the linebacker blitz. He taps it up to himself, sets up the score right here for Caden Durham. Don't get much easier than that for the LSU offense. One play, it's done that way when the defense sets you up on a 3-yard line.
That put them up 23-10 and 22-10. And then here's my man, Trades Green. Watches, he gets a hit, but he's looking at that guy and say, you can't touch this, you can't guard this. 6'7", 245, runs, catches it. Go to Green all you want. You'll not be disappointed. Catches almost everything.
Yeah, 42 plays in the game, of course, a season high. Here's another great pass to the outside. C.J. Daniels, you mentioned, getting him back for the Tigers was big for the offense. He not only is a great blocker, but he's good on the outside. Set up Damian Ramos once again, making this 27-10 for the Tigers in the 4th quarter with just under 12 minutes to play.
I'm going to tell you, folks, play calling, especially inside the red zone with Joe Sloan, is going to be a big part of it. And here's Durham once again having a great run and getting the first down for the Tigers.
Yeah, icing this game. Of course, you talked about the last drive. Over 8 minutes to seal it. Of course, Nussmeier right here. They'll get into the end zone. 1st and goal, setting up Caden Durham once again for his 3rd score of the evening.
Emory Jones was the SEC Offensive Player of the Week. Of course, as we know, Blake Baker has had that defense on all cylinders, and even though Whit Weeks didn't win the award, he's going to win it again. Here's the thing that, once again, another takeaway for the LSU defense, JP.
Yeah, Blake Baker talks about that linebacker room and how far they've come this season. It really just starts with the coaching, able to communicate, and really able to rely on these young guys that are getting opportunities really early. 11 freshmen played for LSU this past Saturday.
Deshaun Womack with a sack and a tackle at the end of the game. So, look, this was LSU's best game from start to finish. Arkansas had been off. They had 2 weeks to get ready. They had beaten Tennessee, which, of course, as we know, beat Alabama. Georgia beats Texas. We talked about this last week, JP. No SEC teams undefeated. Georgia catapults all the way back to 2. Everybody always wants to act like they know what's going to happen every Saturday. Folks, this is what college football has evolved into, a lot of parity. But, JP, I've gotten this question already a bunch this week. Do you talk about LSU playoffs? Do you think that they're going to end up with 10 or 11 wins? I tell everybody, week to week, you just never know, and it is tough to go to A&M and back-to-back road games. But did the Alabama and Milroe did not look great. Tennessee didn't look great. And Georgia just opened up a can of whoop butt on Texas, obviously the better team. So a lot of parity even at the top of the SEC.
Yeah, but, man, I don't know if you saw, but they asked Nick Saban, Pat McAfee asked Nick Saban about the coaching job that Kalen DeBoer was doing and the patience that the fans in Tuscaloosa were going to have and how many losses could Alabama potentially have. And Kalen DeBoer, not feel the heat. And, of course, Nick Saban said, look, there were seasons where they lost a couple of games, and every time they lost, they were trying to talk people from jumping off the bridge and how much they stink. And what do you think, Bud, man? How many losses can Kalen DeBoer face in his first couple of years until the fans and the administration in Tuscaloosa are like, hey, guy, that's not what we do around here. This is Alabama. I know Nick Saban's not here, but there's a standard. And DeBoer, with 2 losses already, and the way that they've lost these games, I mean, they got physically bullied by Vandy. And, again, this past weekend. And Milroe, you kind of put it on his shoulders because he's the quarterback, he's the captain. But the guy's not Michael Vick. I mean, the guy was not in the Heisman talking before the kid from Boise State exploded on the scene, before Travis Hunter was dominating for the last 2 years. Milroe was not that guy. And to put it all on Milroe, I think is unfair.
Yeah, I think it's a total overreaction. Of course, Paul Feinbaum, talking about the heat is on. Look, everybody knows that coaches put more pressure than the administration or the fan base can put on. What do you expect? You're talking about the greatest college football ever with 7 championship rings. Do you really think you're not going to have a drop-off? They're going to be okay. The question is, though, that is startling to me, what's this Alabama defense like? That's the worst defense I've seen the Crimson Tide have in a long time. So there's going to be a lot of teams in the SEC with 10-2 records. That tiebreaker is going to be crazy. And let's just go 1 week at a time. But a lot of overreaction from the Walmart crowd over at Alabama. Nothing you can do, fans. He's got a contract that you can't fire him in the first year, but certainly there are plenty of worrying Crimson Tide fans. Speaking of BK, let's go right into it. We've got about 10 minutes from the Monday press conference as he assessed with the media the LSU Arkansas win and getting ready for LSU and A&M. Here's Brian Kelly on a Monday afternoon right here on Tigers Roar.
Let's talk about the game, the Arkansas game in particular. I think what I'm most proud of our team is that they had to go on the road and match the intensity and the physicality of an opponent that was coming off a bye week, and I thought we did that and did that very well. And that was really the mantra all week, was that we had to come off of playing an emotional game, overtime game against Ole Miss, and then really regroup and then go on the road in a hostile environment, if you will, and then play with an extra heartbeat, play physical, play to the echo of the whistle. It was a team that had showed itself on film as one that played that way, and then we had to match it, and I thought we did a great job from that standpoint. Certainly we got off to a really good start offensively. Defensively, I thought we tackled extremely well. We were physical. We got timely turnovers. And, you know, individual players certainly need to be talked about as well. Damian Ramos was the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. Emory Jones was the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Certainly Caden Durham, 100 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Nuss again, 23 of 34, no interceptions, no turnovers. And of course, can't finish a defensive performance without Whit Weeks being all over the field, 10 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, and leads the SEC in tackles. So some great individual performances, but as a team, offense, defense, and special teams, I think what we did well was we prepared very well, and then we took that preparation relative to how we thought about the way we needed to play. And that was with a physicality, with extra effort, and being really aggressive. The first time we played on the road, I thought we were reactive against South Carolina. We waited for things to happen, and as you know, we got down 17 points. This game, we didn't wait around, and that's how we need to play this coming weekend against an outstanding A&M team, a team that will get a chance to play on national television, you know, a 4-0 team, and going to College Station is certainly a challenge. Mike Elko is doing a great job with this football team. In his first year, they've won 6 straights, very similar to what our team has been doing. We lose the opener. They lost their opener and have played better and better each and every week. They're running the ball very well, over 200 yards rushing a game. But they're very balanced on offense. They throw it very well. I think Connor Wegman is a really good quarterback. He is deceptive in terms of his speed, and he's got very good weapons. You know, Moss at the running back position, obviously from Walker, Louisiana, leads the SEC in rushing per game at 96 yards. And then he's got a bevy of receivers led by Thomas, who's a 6'6" wide receiver. I think he's got a very good offensive line. Basantis is really a physical presence inside for them. I think they're athletic. They work well together. And just I think it's a really well-conceived offense, very balanced. And defensively, you know, obviously, you know, with Coach Elko's background, coaching defense, you know this is going to be a fundamentally sound defense. They take the football away. I think they're second in the SEC in takeaways. You know, they've got an outstanding front. It reminds me in a lot of ways of Ole Miss's front, big, physical. They've got a couple of transfers that really changed the complexion. Nick Scorton from Purdue is a big, physical defensive end. You still have Stewart, who's been there, athletic. Just a really well-conceived group. Linebackers are athletic, can run. It's led by York as the middle linebacker, smart, savvy guy. He's the green dot, does a really good job back there. You know, we looked at Will Lee in the portal, transfer from Kansas State, physical, really smart corner. Again, a really good, well-constructed, fundamentally sound defense that is going to make you earn everything. Don't give up big plays. They play the way you would expect them to play. So, great challenge going to College Station. We'll have to, again, you know, play our very best. But, you know, there's a lot to play for, so we're excited about the challenge. So, with that, we'll open up to questions.
Hey, Coach, what did you take away from your first year when you went to College Station, that atmosphere, how unique it is, how challenging it is to play in?
Yeah, I think we learned a lot about, you know, there are different venues in this league, and they're all difficult, but I think when you go to A&M, a lot like coming to Tiger Stadium, you know, they kind of separate themselves, right? There's a few that are separating themselves from the others. No knock on South Carolina, no knock on Arkansas. Those are tough environments. But, when you start to separate with maybe Neyland Stadium, going to Alabama, certainly here with A&M and Tiger Stadium, these are different. And you have to prepare and understand that in that environment, you have to block out those distractions, because if you don't, they will affect the outcome of certain games.
Coach, heading into a game like this, now with the 12-team college football playoff, does that affect the way you guys look at a game like this compared to, say, if you had this game in this scenario last season with just a 4-team playoff?
No, I don't think so. I think our preparation will be certainly the same. Look, I think the one thing that is so important to point out, and I think you could just look at the teams around college football, everybody's looking for how can they be consistent? How can they be the same team week in and week out? And for us, it's about our preparation and our process and how we can be consistent. It's the consistent application of what we do and how we do it, and then turning that over to performance. So whether it's a 14 playoff, 18, 12 team, that really doesn't come into the equation as much as how we prepare consistently. That will be the focus. Are we going to prepare as well as we did last week? And if we do, then we will perform equal to that. And that's really what we'll focus on this week.
Brian, kind of a random question from the last game. Blake drew up that blitz on 3rd down early with I don't even know how to fully describe it, that funky sort of I formation blitz thing. Just what did you make of that, and why was that sort of successful? It seems so exotic.
Well, again, it's the little nuances of pressures in those situations are to make it difficult for protection schemes. And, those little tweaks, if you will, to our pressures are things that Blake has carried with him and have been effective. We wanted something that gave us the opportunity to attack their protections, but also have a runner in a position that could really spy the quarterback. And so that was something that he had used in certain situations before, and felt like this was the week against that particular quarterback would be effective.
Brian, we've seen the grit and resilience that your team has displayed. At the beginning of the year, you talked about the maturity, in year 3 here. The pendulum's going to swing from everybody doubting you to everybody praising you and calling you a college playoff contender. How do you handle that messaging, and does that maturity kind of kick in right now in times like this?
Yeah, I think there's been enough players that have been down this road before. We had to go to Alabama and win a football game, and we didn't come up. We came up short last year. So they understand that this is a week-to-week thing, right? You win a game, and everybody thinks you're great. You lose a game, and everybody thinks you're a bum. So our guys stay in the present. They understand how important it is to stay grounded and focused on really what can they control. And I think they've gotten to that point where whatever the narratives are and whatever people are saying, we've already kind of covered it with them, in that what's really important is what you can control. And what people write about you, what they say about you, you can't control it. Control the controllables. And for us, as I mentioned to Koki, it's about our preparation. If we do a really good job with our preparation, then good things usually happen.
Okay, folks, and one of the things they will have to control is tempo. And, hey, a special shout-out, a sad little tidbit here. We lost Coach Charlie Baglio last weekend. Bags was legendary, an icon, an incredible high school coach at Independence, worked at LSU for 20-plus years, a great friend to all of us in the media. He's getting buried, his mass funeral in the mass right now, and burial later today. So, Coach Baggs, we will miss you, and may you rest in peace. Truly an icon And I don't know anybody that ever had a bad word to say about Coach Baggs. Losing Ed Daniels, losing Coach Baggs. Folks, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. Always take care of your loved ones and make sure that they know you are always going to be there for them. And we hope that Coach Baggs and his family will handle this situation as well as can be. Coach Baggs, we're going to miss you. Love you. Back right after this. JP and I will talk some more. Garrett Nussmeier coming up once again on another edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Tremonti's has meat, Tremonti's has seafood, Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters, huge wine and liquor selection, beer and all the spices you need, Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats, ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs, 20 flavors of sausage for the grill, daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements, and that's where Lee Serio can help. His prepaid funeral plans make sure your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. With Lee Serio, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee or his wife Gretchen at 225-315-6329. Let Lee Serio give you and your family the peace of mind you all deserve.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
If you're ready for a new car that's designed to take you where you want to go, whenever you want to go, now's the time to find out all there is to know about the new Mazda CX-50, named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus award winner. Save on your new Mazda right now at Team Mazda on Airline.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
And we welcome you back once again. Another big weekend in the SEC, folks, as some of the big games this weekend. Oklahoma, they have had a rough go of it at Ole Miss. Is Ole Miss going to lose 3 ball games this year? Probably. That's an 11 o'clock game. Arkansas at Mississippi State, 11:45. Texas at Vandy at 3:15. LSU at A&M, 6:44 actual kick. TV comes on at 6:30, and Auburn at Kentucky, 6:45. JP, biggest surprise of the year, has it got to be Clark Lee and Vanderbilt, or you got something better than that? All right, so a little technical problems there. We're still working through some of the technical issues with our setup. Garrett Nussmeier, even though he did not throw a touchdown pass, folks, this is a crazy stat. This is Amanda's spicy tidbit. 21 consecutive games with throwing a touchdown pass. Didn't need to throw one last week. Going to have to throw some this week. JP, what do you want to see from Nuss? And obviously, there's been a couple times where he's been scrambling. He's making some yardage with his feet, but he's also been gimpy at times. I'm going to go ahead and predict it. I don't want you guys and ladies and kids to get mad at me, but I think LSU's probably going to give up a sack or two this weekend. I'd love to see him clean only 2 sacks for the year. That's something that's number 1 in the conference, and I think second in the total nation. But Nussmeier, what do you want to see him do this Saturday night, JP?
Continue to take care of the football, Bud, man. He's been pretty good with turnovers, not throwing a lot of interceptions. He's also helping out that offensive line, getting the ball out on time. He's good in the pocket, Bud, man. He treats his job just as a profession, a job. He's completely focused on this weekend and Texas A&M and Kyle Field. We'll get Nussmeier in just a minute, but I'll give a prediction right now. But, man, this kid is going to get a chance to play on Sundays. Selfishly, I hope he comes back to LSU for one more season to play quarterback. But he is going to get a chance on an NFL roster. The guy is selfless. He's a great leader. He knows the football talk. He gives great interviews. He knows exactly what to say, how to be a leader on and off the field. And I'll say this, even if it doesn't work out to be a starting quarterback on Sundays, which that's not a knock on Nussmeier, he has a bright future in broadcasting. The kid is very smart. He understands football, and he's very articulate. But, man, I've been very impressed. But to answer your question, take care of the football, keep being efficient on third down, and don't take too many sacks.
And look, once again, we try to be objective here, but you got to get the play in way earlier. It happened at least 10 or 15 times this weekend where you're watching and the clock is on the TV and it's 4, and it's 3, and it's 2, and they barely snapping it with any time left on the clock. Oh, by the way, 11 penalties. Got to clean that up. Nuss has got to get rid of it quicker. Got to play clean. Here is Garrett Nussmeier meeting with the media out at LSU yesterday afternoon.
Hey, Garrett. It seemed like with CJ back, you guys are able to move the ball a little bit better. Just what value does he bring to the offense that when you don't have him, you miss out on?
I mean, there's a lot of different things that CJ brings to the table, you know. He's a threat, and he's a very talented player and makes plays with the ball in his hand. And, you know, I've always said we have a very deep receiver room. And so, you know, I felt like, you know, one man goes down, we got guys that can step up. But, you know, obviously CJ's a very special player. And he brings a lot to our team. He handles his business the right way. You know, he's a pro in the building and outside the building. And, you know, he's somebody that, you know, I've really grown closer to since he's gotten here and you know, somebody that I look to a lot. And he's a very good football player. So it's great for us to have him back.
Saw it early in the year with Aaron. Not Aaron. Who's the Anderson kid? No,
Yeah.
No. 8. Who's 8?
Juwan Johnson.
Johnson. Sorry, just what you can get done in a week, right? So like Trey'Dez Green being able to come in and play half the offensive snaps. Like, what did you see in him? I guess what's kind of the ceiling for him this season? I know that his career.
Obviously, he's a very special player because of, you know, the I guess you could say the amount of different things that he can do very well because of, you know, his size, his physical ability, and also, you know, his athletic ability. And so you can move him around, put him in different spots, you know, put him in different formations that try and isolate different things in a defense that we're trying to attack with a bigger body who's also, you know, dang near just as fast as a receiver. So he's a mismatch no matter where he's at. And, you know, I think something that's grown so much in his game as well is his ability to get inside the box and block too. And so, you know, adding that to his game has made him so dynamic. And, you know, I think that's why he was able to play so many snaps this Saturday. I don't know what the number was, but it was probably pretty high. And so, 42, that's why he's been able to do that. It's because he's worked so hard on all the aspects of his game.
Obviously, it didn't end up mattering because you guys won by 24, but just the procedure penalties, the false starts, things like that, you guys kind of figured out what was the cause of all that?
Yeah, I mean, we talked internally and just and tried to work on those things. That's definitely something that we're not proud of and not okay with. And, you know, I think we're going to work together and try and get those fixed. You know, I think that it's more a matter of us just, you know, focusing on our process and doing things the right way. I wouldn't say that it's been something that's been a problem this entire season, you know, and so I don't know that we have to freak out about it, you know, and act like this is some new thing that's, you know, going to kill us. But at the same time, you know, it was unacceptable. So we got to fix it and move forward and keep going in the right direction. So.
Garrett, whether last week against Ole Miss, you know, this past week against Arkansas, big moments, seems like Mason Taylor always comes up with a big play. Like, how helpful is it to have a guy like that knowing, hey, if I need a guy to make a play, he's going to make it?
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. You know, somebody that, like I've said many times, I always look to when things break down, just because he's always where he's supposed to be. And, you know, I feel like we have good chemistry just working together over the years. And he's an unbelievable football player, an unbelievable talent. His work ethic is unmatched. And, you know, it means everything to him. You know, he never wants to let us down. You know, I can tell just, you know, he never wants to let me down. You know, he's going to try and make any catch he can. And I think that's what's so special about him is, you know, I have a trust in Mason that, you know, he's going to make the play no matter what.
Coach Kelly earlier in the week said Texas A&M is one of the hardest places to play in the SEC. You've been there before. Are you guys preparing like the younger guys or players that haven't played in that environment, especially with so much on the line?
Yeah. I mean, obviously we acknowledge, that it's a tough environment. It's a tough place to play. It's going to be loud. It's going to be exciting, But, like I said before the Ole Miss game, it's real easy to get caught up in the extracurriculars of what this game means, and all the different things that play into it. And, we can think about those all week and then lose the football game and then it won't matter. So, like I've said many, many times, for us, we're playing a football game this Saturday. And, yeah, it's going to be loud. That's going to be the environment. Doesn't matter what it means. Doesn't matter, who we're playing. We're playing a football game, and we're focused on us. We're focused on executing the best of our ability and attacking our opponent.
I got a couple that kind of go together. BK talked to us this week about the strategy with early downs and passing schemes and kind of giving you full field reads. And how important is your footwork, when it comes to that, because you are moving a lot, I guess. And do you really notice when it's on versus when it's not, how much it affects your throws?
Yeah, definitely. Footwork's something I've been working on personally for a long time. I guess as a quarterback, you have kind of your way of doing things in a footwork standpoint. But I've had to work through different things and try and get mine corrected and work with Coach Sloan on that and Coach Kelly as well, and just tying my feet to the reads and things like that. So yeah, I definitely think you can tell. Maybe it's off on a play and I miss something a certain way, things like that. I think there's probably a correlation there whenever I watch tape on my own and go through things. And that's what football is all about, and playing this position is all about. Your feet are a huge part of the game. And so, I'm always watching, if I miss by a millimeter and, I can be able to tell if I'm too closed off or I'm too open and things like that, So it's about just studying, and like I said, when we had that bye week a couple weeks ago, just going back, watching through different things and working on, continuing to grow my craft. And so I think, yeah, that's definitely been something that I've been focused on.
All right, as JP sent up with the graphic, he is a redshirt junior. Listen, it is not a good crop of quarterbacks this year. And we know that he will have a discussion with his parents, and he'll have a decision to make. We'll come back and wrap up this puppy on a Wednesday afternoon. Nussmeier, is he going to play his best game? Is he going to get rid of it quick enough? Is he going to get the ball snapped in time? All those questions, along with a little Saints recap, when we come back right here on Pelican Sports TV with Tigers Roar.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
And, of course, we couldn't do the radio show. We couldn't do all of the TV shows without our great sponsor, Manda Fine Meats. Listen, folks, if you are superstitious, eat those Manda products on game day, Saturday for your Tigers and Jags, Sunday for your Saints. And JP, wrapping it up, let's do a couple of quick keys to the V. And I'll go first real quick. Got to protect Nussmeier. They almost sacked him the last week or two, so got to get rid of it quicker. Got to get the plays in quicker. This snapping with 3-2-1, that's going to catch up and bite him in the butt. got to have the run game, and you've got to score touchdowns in the red zones. You don't want to settle for field goals this weekend. Yes, if you have to take them, you'll take them. Defensively, Connor Wegman is either real good or real bad. I've got a buddy of mine that's Aggie fan, and he says he's either real good or real bad, and you're going to know it early in the first quarter. But put pressure, tackle, blitz, the whole 9 yards. JP, obviously LSU a +3 on the takeaway. That's the other thing, too. Ball security. You don't need LSU to be giving the A&M Aggies the football. And so I think it's going to be a great game, a toss-up. Actually, I have this thing going into overtime on Saturday night just to put gray hairs on everybody.
Right. But, man, I think LSU has to start fast. Don't give that crowd at Kyle Field a reason to get really into this ball game. Start on offense, run the football, impose your will on that offensive line, move those defenders out of the way, and on defense, continue the short tackling. You're not missing a lot of tackles right now on defense. You're not giving up a lot of yak. You're holding those running backs under 100 yards, bud, man. So continue to tackle well, but offensively, got to start fast. Can't get behind early. Can't turn over the ball, as you mentioned. Ball security at a premium this weekend. All the chips on the table, 4-0 in the SEC. Both A&M and LSU knows what's on the line. Both teams are going to be hyped for the football game, so just keep that energy through the second half and play through the echo of the whistle because A&M's coming with that heat on Saturday.
All right, folks, wrapping it up. We got a couple of minutes to talk about the Saints and JP. It was a Thursday night game. I turned it on. I watched it for about 10, 15 minutes and said, see ya. Denver dominated the ball game, time of possession. But let's be honest, the Saints are running on empty, and these injuries have really made them it's every week it's a precarious situation because they're losing a player or two every week, and most of them lately are out for the year.
Yeah, the injuries have been decimating for the Saints. It was cool to see Drew Brees get his nod from the crowd. Of course, he retired after the 2020 season, left an empty Superdome, so that was really nice to see Drew Brees run out with the team out of the tunnel. And, yeah, Bud, man, Saints struggling. 5 in a row now after winning the first 2, looking offensively like they were a juggernaut. All the injuries have really hindered their chances of winning a single ball game. Dennis Allen, hot seat.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to use that excuse or if he's going to get the pink slip. JP, I'm going crazy. I got LSU 27, Texas A&M 24 in overtime. That's when you want Damian Ramos to make the big kick. Yeah, as always, we hope that all of you have a great weekend. Be safe, be smart. Once again, Tigers on the tube, 6:30 broadcast, 6:45 kick. See you next week right here on Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV.